I came to St. James Avenue Church as pastor in 1984.
The Lord has blessed you and given you gifts.
The missionaries were distributing food items based on the meager resources they had.
We found out that we needed more services. The demand was greater.
We looked for someone who would take us to a more systematized, organized manner of food distribution.
Dolores Johnson came to me. I need your help. 20 hours a week, $150 a week.
Esther came into this meeting many challenges.
And I'll never forget one day she called with tears in her eyes. And I said, "What's wrong, Esther?" She said, "Reverend, I walked in this morning and there was a raccoon in my office."
I remember Dolores and the late Reverend Garvey Ince took me out to dinner. And I said, "Why didn't you tell me it was like this?" And Dolores laughed and she said, "We didn't know what it was going to be like, but we knew we needed someone to help us figure it out."
We prayed and we worked 24 hours a day.
St. James Social Services have been around for over 30 years. People have been hungry since the beginning of time.
Food insecurity in Newark is still a prevalent thing. There are parts of the city where we've been designated by the state as one of the food deserts.
We have so many people that depend on social services.
Some of the negative stereotypes and false narratives around people who need services is the automatic thought that they don't want to work, they're lazy, they just want a handout. That's totally untrue.
The rents are so high, people need more than one job.
In the county of Essex, there's roughly 180 food pantries, soup kitchens, and shelters. St. James is absolutely one of the largest, but not just the largest in terms of distribution, the largest in terms of the heart.
On a monthly average, our pantry distributes food to about 4,000 people.
We pack the bags so that each family can have a meal for the next 5 to 7 days.
5 days a week, we serve lunch and we serve dinner. There's no other organization that we know of that does that.
I remember receiving a phone call from Restaurant Impossible that was looking for a soup kitchen in need of a rehab. And I said, "Vesta, hey, are you sitting down?" She goes, "Julianne, what do you have up your sleeve?" And I said, "You have been selected from Restaurant Impossible to get your kitchen made over." And she screamed, she said, "Hallelujah, thank you, Jesus." And she started yelling for her team to come upstairs. "We've been selected, we've been selected."
St. James is that one-stop organization that you can go to, and it's going to check all those boxes.
And you can see it by the lines at St. James Social Services, as sometimes it comes up, MLK wraps itself around MLK down to Court Street.
And they've been out there in the rain, sleet, and snow and real storms. Dead people, no matter what the weather was.
When people come here, it's not like we give them a number and you're at public service and they say, "Next." Nope, not here, not at all.
I always tell my guys, the day you lose your compassion and it becomes a job, then you need to leave. You have to have compassion to do this job.
There was a time our staff was not even paid, and yet they showed up for work every day.
A lot of people were complaining, "Why are you still there?" and all that. You are in America and then you shouldn't be doing that.
We've always felt that no matter how tough it is for us, the people that we serve, their situations are much worse.
When I saw the employee continue to come to work, it showed me that it was more than a job to them, it was a ministry.
It was no longer us working with Vesteros for St. James, like we're working to God.
The global pandemic was basically an equalizer when we talk about need and assessment and what constitutes an emergency.
Remember, we were locked down, couldn't go to the grocery store. Thousands of people were in their homes struggling.
We were the only food bank open in Essex County for months.
And this was before the CDC gave any type of recommendations for food pantries and soup kitchens.
We were afraid. We were totally afraid.
And also wondering, how long is this gonna last?
But we also understood that without us, several people would go hungry.
People that were getting paid on a regular basis, they didn't know where their next check was gonna come from.
The soup kitchen line went from the front of our building almost to West Kenny.
And ultimately, it was a crossing point for the organization that put us on the map.
And none of us, not one of us, caught COVID during the pandemic and even after we opened.
Hunger doesn't know color, doesn't know age, doesn't have an income guideline. When times get hard, it's going to come for whoever it needs to come for.
So right at the beginning of the pandemic, I had just gotten hired as an immigration attorney. After losing my job, I couldn't keep up with my bills. I received an eviction notice. I Googled different organizations that could help and came across St. James. They were able to help me pay off the debt. That's how they basically saved me and my son from homelessness.
So there are really two primary fundraising opportunities here at St. James Social Services. One, of course, is Jewels of the Community, and the second one is the golf outing.
Every dollar that you donate, you know that those dollars will go directly back to the client and or provide the resources for them to thrive.
Through those sponsorship opportunities, we're able to go out and use those resources, those funds, to serve people in greater ways.
I had a lot of different conversations with my aunt, the late Lieutenant Governor, Sheila Oliver, about St. James, about Vesta and their mission.
I told her, I said, this is hard. I'm tired. She said, Vesta, I know it's tough. Don't you think you can hang on for another year? A year later, she was on the ballot with Bill Murphy.
I, Sheila Y. Oliver.
I, Sheila Y. Oliver, perform all the duties
of the office of Lieutenant Governor.
Of the office of Lieutenant Governor.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I cried. I shouted. We are because of her.
Now that she has transitioned to heaven, she's still showcasing that same support for Vesta and St. James, and they have a cloud of witness above cheering them on.
It takes a dynamic individual to lead St. James.
We have to give kudos and expressions of gratitude to Sister Vesta and the wonderful team.
She cares about her people. She cares about her community.
Vesta is always sharing opportunities, always making sure that all social services agencies that she's partnering with, we're all in the know.
Vesta is very serious. She will stand on business at all times, but she's compassionate.
She's committed and is going to find a way to get the resources that the folks need in the community and use her relationships to do that.
I think it's important that we have folks like that in our community because we're people who want to do the work and aren't afraid to step up and say, we need this to make sure that our community thrives and survives.
So besides the people that are coming to the door, she cares about us.
I call her my guardian angel. I went to a time when I was homeless. She got me out the streets. She got me in the YMCA. The YMCA helped me find an apartment.
Vesta and St. James Social Services has managed to weather every storm that could have stopped them from getting to the 30th year.
To remember some of the things, from the very beginning, like the raccoon in my office and me crying.
I'm very proud of the employees, their commitment to the organization, most of all, their commitment to the community.
We didn't start out like we are now, and it's been a lot of growth and a lot of learning experiences.
It's like my aunt gave me the baton to carry forward her legacy on helping this organization.
Without them, I think a lot of people, unfortunately, will fall through the cracks.
We're a mission that's kind of here to stay and committed and dedicated to serving the people that are most needy.
I believe in their mission. I believe in the work that they do. So that's why I get emotional, because I know that of the almost 900 partners that I've worked with, that's the one.
St. James is not here just to do what feels good. They're going to do what is right.
There's a big need and we're filling it.
If I wouldn't have stepped foot here and got the free meal, I really think I'll be still running the street. I was in the position when I had to come get food from St. James. Now I'm in that position, I give out food for St. James, and it's a great feeling.
Because we can't do it alone. Just like they say it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to help people.
When you're able to donate financially to an organization like St. James, you are planting a seed, not just financial in your community, but also emotional, psychological.
People be depressed, and sometimes that depression puts you in a whole realm that you can't even get into the mode of getting to doing better for yourself because there's no help. But St. James is a place you get all kinds of help.
I've been out here by myself because I lost my partner. He passed away 2 years ago. I could come to them and cry to them when I'm going through something personal with myself. And they're here, they listen.
Because we all go through struggles. But if we don't have a place like St. James giving out this love, where we gonna be? Where we gonna be?
I pray that there's decades more of time that they have on their hands to do the work that they've been doing over and over again.
Because the need now is as great, if not greater, than it ever was.
The best way to serve God is to serve humanity, and they do that every day at St. James Social Services.
I am most proud of being part of an agency that has faith in God, believes in prayer, and believes in helping people is not an option.
It's our way of life. It's what we do. It's what we live. It's how we operate.
One of the last programs King was organizing was the Poor People's Campaign. And so it's interesting to have St. James doing the work that they do right there on Martin Luther King Boulevard, advocating for poor people, advocating for the least of us.
Unlike other organizations where the organizations were well built and established, Vesta was handed a blank slate. And she has written a great story, the greatest story that can be written. And I am proud to be part of that story, the story of St. James Social Service Corporation.